Hi, and welcome to another terribly fun films review. I'm your host of the Crazy Awfulness, Bobby, and today we're looking at something a bit different, something I haven't looked at before, and that is an El Santo movie. For those who don't know, El Santo was in his day the most famous luchador in all of Mexican wrestling. Mexican wrestling was massive. He was the icon. Think sort of like Hulk Hogan was to American wrestling back in the 90s. That sort of huge. Yeah, couldn't escape him. He made a series of movies. A lot of those times it'd be a special guest star luchador as well. I believe the one he did the most often was with the Blue Demon. I don't have the exact titles all in front of me, but he made at least 4 with the Blue Demon. And I believe that's more than any other co-starring luchador. And with the Blue Demon, one of the movies they made was Santo and the Blue Demon versus Dracula and the Wolfman. Allow me to repeat that title. Santo and the Blue Demon, 2 mega luchadors, versus Dracula, the undead vampire, and the Wolfman, freaking werewolf. And this is very much the Lon Chaney 1940s Wolfman inspiration. So yeah, that's what we're looking at today, guys. Let's do this. Coming out in 1973, Santo and the Blue Demon versus Dracula and the Wolfman is directed by Miguel M. Delgado and was written by Alfredo Salazar from his own story. And I'm uncertain, because they say adaptation, so I'm uncertain if he wrote some sort of book or short story that this took from, or if they just mean like he wrote out the story treatment and then turned that into a whole script. Of course, Santo and the Blue Demon star, and it will literally just say as themselves. No one is supposed to know what they look like or who the real people are behind them. So it's Santo, Blue Demon. Dracula is played by Aldo Monti, and our Wolfman, his name is Rufus Rex. He is played by Agustin Martinez Solares. That is a very regal name. I hope you are a prince, dear sir, because that name demands royalty and respect. The girlfriend to Santo is Lena. She's played by Nuba Marti. And what kicks off the whole plot is the Cristaldi family bloodline. Lena is a part of that. She is the niece / cousin to some of our other main characters. She's a niece to Professor Louis Cristaldi, played by Jorge Mondragon, and is the cousin to Rosetta, played by Lissy Fields. The other main bad guy, the sort of big henchman for our 2 undead creatures, is Eric, and he's played by Alfredo Wally Baron. And the plot literally sees Alfredo Wally Baron revive Dracula and the Wolfman to gain their riches, and he doesn't really care what they do after that. The Wolfman and Dracula want revenge on the people who put them into a coma for 400 years or however long it is, thanks to a special dagger, the Dagger of Voidos. And that is the Cristaldi bloodline. Clearly the Cristaldi who did that, dead. They are human. But the professor has the dagger. So now the Wolfman and Dracula, along with their henchmen, because they turn other people into werewolves and into vampires and stuff, are trying to basically break into the house and get these people, trying to trap them into a special altar to where they can sacrifice them and then get ultimate power. And did I mention this movie involves Mexican luchadors? Because I just described the plot and I still don't really understand how they fit into this. But we start off with wrestling. Very badly filmed wrestling. Now, mind you, badly filmed. I'm not saying that Santo and the Blue Demon and the other people we see wrestling in the beginning are doing a poor job wrestling. They're fine. They clearly do most of their own stunts throughout the entirety of this movie. So I don't think they mind doing a little bit of wrestling for the camera. It's just that the camera that is filming the wrestling, and all we have is an off-screen narrator telling us all the action happening, is very far back. I just pushed the camera back, by the way, is like this far back from the wrestling, and it never gets closer. We never edit. It's just one long, unbroken take of the wrestling. And it's really boring, really dull. And at the time, again, 1973, part of the appeal to see El Santo fight, and I get that. That makes sense to me. This does not work because while being there in person at the stadium and watching it, there's an energy to the crowd, there's an energy into the lighting, and watching these two big guys go at it in a ring. I get it. It's why people love to go see sports as well. It's the same thing. While watching sports on TV might be boring, if you're at the stadium, you can feed off the energy of the people and that sort of thing. Film's a visual medium, though, so that doesn't totally work, especially when you don't see any crowds. You only hear them, and you only hear the narrator. All we get is a poorly lit ring and the people fighting with one referee. It's so boring. It's a very bad way to start. It's a dull way to start. It's very, very frustrating. However, thankfully, after what feels like an eternity, but I think it's only 8 minutes. Jesus Christ. This movie is not that long to begin with. It's about an hour 40. 8 minutes is too long. But after about 8 minutes, that's over. And we have Lena come and talk to Santo. And that's what actually kickstarts our plot. Because the professor just read a letter and discovered certain things that leads him to believe that Dracula and the Wolfman are about to be, or just have been, resurrected, and that they're coming for the dagger that he knows he has. So he wants Santo to protect his family. Santo says yes, but Santo decides that he needs help. So he enlists the Blue Demon. These are the two most ineffectual bodyguards, for lack of a better term, I have ever seen. They are so busy playing chess in one scene that they don't notice somebody in the same room getting up out of a chair that's, I don't know, 3 feet from them, and walking outside being hypnotized by Dracula. Your sole purpose for being in this movie, the thing you are hired to do here, is to protect them. Why are you playing chess instead of watching the people you were hired to protect? Sorry, it's freaking hilarious. And then then in another sequence, we have Santo decide to lock himself in the library, leaving just the Blue Demon out there. But the Blue Demon goes and after some other weird stuff, so he's doing his job. Santo hears some weird things happening, ignores it, hears some more weird things happening, then goes back and goes out of the library to investigate. I realized in the library he was looking at these books, trying to figure out a way of stopping the Wolfman and Dracula. But why do you have to lock yourself into the library? Why do you have to be alone? You could have taken those books up to the room to where one of your charges, for lack of a better term, was waiting. But no, he locks himself in the library. As you can tell, this movie is gloriously goofy as shit. We also have a sort of mafia type group. I don't really know. I haven't seen any of the other Santo movies. I don't know if they pop up in all of them or what, but they hate Santo and the voodoo. They hate him for reasons that this movie never bothers to explain. So Eric, again, the main henchman who's trying to bring all this to fruition for the undead creatures, hires them to stop the characters. So Eric leads Santo and the Blue Demon to an empty warehouse. He then gives them the slip in the warehouse, and in the warehouse the gang attacks them. Luckily though, Lena, who's been begging to help old Santo this entire time, was hiding away in her car. So she pops out, and she actually gets to be really badass, and this is one of my favorite things about the film, is despite being made in the 1970s and starring the two most famous luchadors at the time, they don't forget to let the side characters, specifically the women, do other very heroic and interesting acts. There's one woman who's constantly a woman in peril and distress and needs to be saved, but everybody else gets at least one cool action scene, and that's fun and that's cool and that's. But everybody else gets one really fun, cool action scene, and that helps the movie feel less 1970s than it would otherwise. Because, dear God, the fashion in this film will make your eyes bleed. They are hilariously ridiculous. Tight white polyester pants with a cashmere purple sweater. Not the right look for anybody, period. Much less one of your main characters for about 90% of the film. So then, Lena actually gets to be kick-ass and she saves them, and Santo knows it. He sees her after the fact, mind you. So she knows that she helped. He knows that she helped. So moving along, eventually Dracula decides to use somebody other than himself to hypnotize these people, to get them come to the underground mansion where the altar is. If he could do that from the beginning, why did he ever show his face? It makes no sense. Meanwhile, Rufus Rex is courting Rosita because he helps save her from a mugging, and I'm uncertain if that was intentional or not. I don't know if he happened to be there, if that was an actual mugging he stopped, or if he is some of his goons that he's trying to make himself look like a hero in her eyes. But that's a fairly good entrance for a bad guy. And then he continues to do the most shady stuff possible, where everybody knows he's a shady dude. You can't save somebody just to turn around and have a conversation about where her missing dad is and how much money you'll pay to find out. It's not how that works, because they haven't told you about the missing dad yet. Oh, movie, you make no sense. The biggest thing against this movie, though, is tone. The tone makes no damn sense. The music is the most egregious part of that, because it doesn't fit whatever scene we're watching. It's all happy and going like that when there's a chase sequence going on. It's all very zippy and light. And then when Santo walks into a room to look at some books, we get this doo-doo-doo, very deep, bellowy, dark music. That's when your people are in trouble. That's the music you want. You flip-flopped them. And it's not just those two scenes. It's every moment in the film is wrongfully scored. And it's hilarious. It's so funny. Oh my god. And then we have the makeup for the Wolfman. And it is such cheap looking fur masks and bad gloves with fur just quickly stapled on them, that if you're not laughing your ass off after seeing that, you don't have a soul. Because I guarantee the funniest thing you will see when watching the film is a horde of cheap dollar store wolfmen making a different wolfman cross a catwalk over a cavern of spikes. Yes, I'm not kidding. That's a thing that happens because he was a coward. I'm not kidding about that either. They do it because he was a coward. It's remarkably goofy. Oh my god. So I don't want to spoil everything, obviously, but I hope I've impressed upon you how utterly insane and ridiculous this film is. I didn't even get to the terrible editing. All the editing in this movie is choppy. Like, instead of using a finely tuned actual editor with a very thin blade to make everything very precise and neat, it's like they just used scissors and cut wherever they wanted. So all the edits feel heavy, if that makes sense. They feel bam, it's bam, it's bam, as opposed to very quick and seamless. So you're not thinking, oh, that's an edit that happened. Because you don't want that. You don't want to call attention to the fact that you're editing. You want people to be engrossed in what they're watching, so the magic still works. Every edit here is so obvious and ridiculous. That's all I have to say about Santo and the Blue Demon versus Dracula the Wolfman. When you have your own bad movie night or bad movie party, or if you're just in the mood to laugh your ass off, watch this film. You will not be disappointed. As always, thank you for watching. I'm your host, Bobby, and this movie just cracks me the hell up.